Hi, and welcome to the Handbag Designer 101 podcast with your host, Emily Blumenthal, handbag designer expert and handbag fairy godmother, where we cover everything about handbags from making, marketing, designing, and talking to handbag designers and industry experts about what it takes to make a successful handbag. Welcome, Jessy Dover, the one and only, the one of the thruple of Dagne Dover. Thank you so very much for joining Handbag Designer 101, the podcast. It is an honor and pleasure. And shockingly enough, this is our first official time talking.
Yeah, it's very nice to meet you officially in person.
I know. Well, quasi-person over Zoom, but yeah, I know. I am, number one, very excited to chat with you. We were pre-chatting, like we were pre-gaming, and I had to put a stop to it because it was just getting so interesting that we'd go through an hour without even recording. But I want to, as we spoke about, you are one of three, and typically you are the one who seems to be the chatty one amongst the interviews and so forth. But I am very much aware that you went straight from designing to, I have an idea with two other people, let's do this. So that's ballsy, man. How and the why?
Yeah. Like, I always wanted to start my own brand. That was just sort of like, I knew that. I love to build things. I love to create, but I had a plan.
Could you sew as a child? Were you one of those?
Yeah. It wasn't any good, but I did it anyway.
Did you make your prom dress? Were you one of those?
Yeah. So bad, but I did.
What color was it?
Hot pink satin, actually. And I just made it because I couldn't find what I wanted, to be honest. And it didn't turn out very good, but at least it was like sort of in essence what I had felt like I wanted to identify with at that point.
Was it poly satin or was it a stretch or like, how was it?
I guess it was a poly satin. It wasn't stretch, which was part of the issue with, how it came out. But I got it at Walmart and it was all that they had. I grew up in Colorado in a really small town called Steamboat Springs. And so I was limited to like what they had at Walmart, to be honest.
Do you know and I'm so happy you brought that up because so many designers with whom I've worked and spoken have this notion that their customer, that she typically, that they identify as a woman for this conversation, assume that she is a very chic, metropolitan, fabulous woman wearing all the best clothes, going to the best places, hair, nails, makeup. And when I've encouraged them to do this deep dive on the analytics of who's actually buying their product, it's someone from a town with a stop sign, a church, a bar, a school, and a Walmart. And to understand that they are spending their hard-earned money on a product that is either 100% for function and they carve out one part of their budget for that, or it's disposable income and it's there to make them feel good. So that, you understood that from the get-go.
Yeah. I don't even know if I understood that as much as that's what I come from. And so that is like in my soul a little bit.
DNA, man.
My DNA.
Yeah. And then you came, was it a big deal to come to New York from Colorado?
Wow. I didn't even really know. I was thinking this morning, like, I don't think I knew what New York was really. Like, I knew of New York, but I was more interested.
Like the cool person that you wanted to hang out with.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, like I knew it was cool, but I didn't identify with wanting to be in New York. I just thought like, I just didn't even know enough. I'm like from the country, like the mountains rather. And like put it this way, my mom didn't know, she might still not really know what Louis Vuitton is. Like, it's like that. So
that's okay.
Oh, it's great. It's wonderful. I mean, I was able to discover it on my own without any sort of like preconceived ideas of what like fashion or handbags or this world of retail is. But well, I really wanted to be a designer. Like my dream was to be a designer. And like the reason for that was really that like I want stuff and I really like to make it. Like I like that process. Like want something, can't find it or can't afford it. So I'll make it. And I wanted to go to Parsons. I got a plug sort of from my aunt. She like dropped a little or planted a little seed with me when I was probably in like high school, early high school years of like, there are design schools. And
you were like, what?
I was like, yeah, what? Like, I'm sort of middle American kind of kid playing soccer, like sports, everything, like not a lot of access to culture or anything like what we have here in New York. And so I thought, whoa, like that's cool. So I immediately like dug into RISD, Parsons, Savannah College of Art and Design, and just kind of like got familiar with what design schools were out there. And I like was just, I mean, that was it for me. As soon as the idea was planted, I was like done. That's where I was going. And
did your parents try to dissuade you from that? Or they were like, you go, we'll see you. Good luck.
My parents are super supportive of anything that I want to do. Like, if I can figure out how to do it on my own, right. Like those kind of people. But they didn't try to dissuade me from being a designer. I think they saw me in a lot of ways and understood where I might find happiness. Also, I have a lot of like artist type of people in my family, not that they all decided to be entrepreneurs and like use that as a way to support their lifestyle. But
were you like a hustler person? Like, did you work through school? Did you work in high school? Did you have side businesses, side jobs, like whichever way you could make money, you would kind of thing?
Always. Yeah. I mean, that's the only reason I'm here. I came here to go to Parsons. I like hustled on the side. I had as many internships as I could. I was like not really having that beautiful college experience that a lot of people describe. And I didn't care. I was happy to be here, like doing New York. So
what were your internships? Because I deal with students all the time. And I mean, I look at their resumes, I help with cover letters. Yeah. I mean, I'm dealing with one particular student. We've gone back and forth with her resume like 80 times. And I'm like, before you become the best publicist of yourself, like go back and check. And if it's a necessity, as in what your situation is based on what you're saying, and you're saying like college was the most, you know, dream, Emily in Paris, Jessy in New York kind of situation, because you were always like, I am the prize. You had to work.
Oh, yeah. 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 And I think that's really beautiful that you work with young designers in that way. I wish I would have had someone like you.
I'm amazing. I wish I would have had me. You don't even
You're
know.
Amazing. You are.
Well, you know, truly. You know, only on Tuesdays. So don't catch me on a Wednesday.
I know. I hear you.
Out the window.
I mean, I think that's why it's so great. It's because like, who has time for that? And once you start working and like, you're overwhelmed, you know, really by the amount of things that end up needing to get done for just like life and work. But yeah, I mean,
were you taking accessory design classes? Like, was that your focus?
I wasn't actually, because I didn't know yet what I wanted to do. I wanted to be like, I loved clothing because for starters, like that's where I was at, like in my interests. And then as time went on, I started to kind of really understand that strategy was important for me, and also that there are all these glamorous jobs that everybody wants that's like gonna be real tough to get even if you are the best. And then there's all these sort of like less glamorous jobs that are still in the industry that are great jobs that are just like not as glitzy and glam, we'll say. And so I started designing accessories like the second half. It might have even been like my senior year at Parsons, because I thought, maybe I'll try it. Like, maybe that could be interesting. Coach was hosting, and I think they still do, an accessories design award for the students. And I decided to enter in it because
you could.
Because I could.
Yeah.
And I was also like, it was during finals, and I knew that
I had to recycle what you'd already made, or did you have to make? Oh, wow. So you had to make something specific to it based on the Coach DNA.
Oh, yeah. They gave us at that point a very specific prompt to create. And I hadn't really designed handbags before that, to be honest.
Wow.
I had just designed other things. It's very transferable, the skills, but they're not the exact same. I mean,
correct.
I had to learn a lot, but that all for me happened more like on the job. So.
Wow. So you applied and you won.
Yeah. Yeah.
Were you like, what is that?
I was like, what? And things like that around this time in my life started to kind of happen. Like, I just decided, like, my dad basically said, like, I'm not paying for you after this. So, like, get a job or come home or whatever. Like, so I was like, shoot, okay, I'm going to apply to everything I can. I'm going to do, like, apply to the best internship that I don't think I can get at Armani. And I ended up getting the internship and I was like, holy cow, like, this is awesome. And then it ended up being such a beautiful learning experience for me just because of the way that that company was run at that time and the management.
What, Emporio Armani or Armani Exchange?
Armani Exchange.
Gotcha.
In New York. Yeah. Yep. And I think Emporio, I don't think that that's here, but doesn't matter. It was Armani Exchange. And the creative director there at the time, who I'm still, like, actually pretty close with, was just incredible at managing his team, at creating a very productive yet positive team culture. And people really respected him.
It's so important to be exposed to that because when you're at such a tender age,
I know,
to be exposed to see how somebody leads by example, it stays with you.
It stays with you. And that is, like, one of the things that is, like, super important to, I know, both my partners and myself, is just, like, being able to lead by example and always ensuring that, like, we're supporting team culture and growth and, like, the youth of our company and, like, raising them into good leaders as we work through this whole thing that is, like, building a brand, which is, like, a lot in and of itself. But yeah, so I was there. I got that internship. It changed everything for me in terms of how I saw fashion, because a lot of the other internships I had were at smaller, more luxury, I would say, fashion houses. And it was just kind of a mess behind the scenes, or behind the curtains, as you'd say. And I was like, whoa, okay, like, that's not what I want to do. And then I saw kind of, I guess in Armani and at Coach, like, how a well-run retail business can kind of go. So then I, like, kind of set my sights on, like, that's what I want to do. And then I graduated.
And then you were like, oh, damn.
Oh, damn. But I got a job before I graduated because I was like, that girl, I needed to.
Yeah.
I worked in footwear, actually, because I was at the time interested in accessories and footwear was it. And that's where there was a job available. So I took it and it was just a disaster, to be totally honest. Like,
fair.
It just was not for me.
Footwear is really tricky. And I want to call out, and I'm happy you said that. And I don't want to say that it's indicative of all footwear companies, but I feel, in my personal opinion, obviously coming from the handbag lens, when you are working with something or a product that has sizing, the return rate is so high and the marketing angle and the sales angle is so challenging that unless you're doing shoes that has a match back to another sellable product to tell a stronger brand story, it's very, very difficult, because it's more about those Monday morning numbers of sales and sell-through than, in my opinion, and this is, again, speaking from a handbag person, than the product.
Exactly.
So as a designer, it's, especially a young one, it's very stifling to be like, I don't think this is for me. But having those crappy experiences also young is great, because then you see the factory, you see margins, you see how people are working. You're able to like figure it out. Like, oh, I see. This is what it's like to work in a stressful situation where it's all about making money, profit. That's it.
Yep. And what it looks like in my case for design to have no authority or respect in that like world or at a specific company. And so I did learn a lot. I learned a lot about what I didn't want. I learned a lot about making money in retail and what that means and what like compromises one has to consider as a designer. And also just like, what does design mean? You know, like to me, is it retail? Like, is it just enough for me to like make something that is a paint by number sort of design situation where the bottoms are already decided because our price point is like whatever cents for that, whatever that is. The uppers, we only have these three materials because these are the vendors that we already have relationships with. And that's the only way we can get this shoe in the amount of time that we need it in and blah, blah, blah. You get it, like just super restrained.
That's all margin driven though.
Yeah. And that's great for some people. And I think a lot of the people I worked with there were like super happy. And so the learning for me at that point in time was just like what I want or what I didn't want, which was that kind of, I wanted to be creative. I wanted to really speak to my like consumer, and I wanted to make things that people wanted to wear and found value in, that were maybe more interesting than just 3 different colors that had shown to be saleable over the past 20 years, like of being in business. So
here's our 3 hero products. Let's keep iterating it over.
You can only do brown and black. Like you're only allowed to do brown and black. I was like, okay, like what? No, I can't live like that. I need a world of color. But yeah, it wasn't a good fit. And then that's when the next stage of my plan was that I was going to go to business school, because I knew that I needed to understand the business to be able to like run a company. So randomly, I get an email from my partner, now partner Melissa, that was like, hey, I'm at Wharton Business School. I really want to start a bag brand. I saw your stuff at Coach. Like, let's go get coffee. And
how did she know you existed?
She saw my work from the award that I had won at Coach. She saw my bags that I had created. And
were you like, when you got this email, were you like, who is this and what?
Yeah, I was. But like, she was so enthusiastic and like just cool that I was like, you know what? Let's do it. Like, I'm a very open-minded person. I love meeting new people like you, I think you said. So I was like, let's go grab a coffee. And we just like hit it off, honestly. Like,
it was like a date.
It was like a blind date. And she basically was like, okay, I worked at Coach for a long time. I opened their UK store in Heathrow Terminal, which was their first UK store. And all that was happening was like people coming in that had spilled their water bottle on their computer, or like, I don't even know, their bag was just like a mess. The handle broke. Like, so she's like, they wanted work bags, and I literally had to send them to other brands because like we didn't have anything, but they were willing to like and ready to buy a bag. And I had.
So this is like one day you apply. This is, I'm so.
There was no application. It was a random email that popped up in my inbox, and me being like, not.
And how did she find your email?
I have no idea. I don't know. I have to ask her.
You need to ask her that, because then that's like part 2. How did you find?
Probably tracked me down on like Facebook or something like that.
But she literally was like, I remember that girl. She was young enough, green enough. I'm sure she gets it. She'd probably be available and open to ideas because she's young and trained. Yeah. Let's give her a go.
Yeah, I think so. I think I would guess that's how it went. And I know that she was looking for someone who she could build a brand with, and that would be as enthusiastic and committed as she was.
Was it understood that you would be a partner, or did she present it to you as like, no, hey, can you be the designer for?
In the beginning, she said, basically, I need help creating this concept that I want to explore. And it was like a freelance gig. And I was like, sure, let's do it. And then pretty quickly, I think we both realized like we're very good complements to one another. While this is all happening, my other partner, Deepa.
This is Melissa Mash.
Melissa Mash, yeah. She was like, she's our CEO. She had the original idea. And then my partner, Deepa, Gandhi, was at Wharton with Melissa at this time, and was also kind of working with Melissa a little bit, just helping her out.
Like peripherally.
Mm-hmm. And Deepa's background was in finance.
Obviously.
Yep. And she also worked in buying. So she was like in the industry, but much more on the financial and analytical side of things. And we started all 3 working together. And
had they graduated, or they were still there?
No, they were in school. And
so they took the train from Philly. What?
And I was still working. So like we were
So they took the train from Philly, and then they're like, here, we'll come in on a weekend. Was your first meeting with Melissa, and then Deepa showed up and like, hey, P.S., this is Deepa. She's part of this gig now.
So it's just, yeah, something like that. But it was more like Melissa was like, I want to do this thing. Will you help me? And then once I went to Penn, like for a visit to like show her some designs that I had created, and Deepa was there.
Right.
So I was like, hi, like I'm so happy to meet you, and I'm so excited about this. Like, she was just like ready to go and super excited about everything.
Do you really think but I want to ask you, do you think it's because you're from a small town or a smaller place that your opinions of people are a lot less jaded? Like the small town vibe is you say hello to everybody, you're open to things. I wouldn't want to assume that you're positive by design, but to be like, yeah, sure, I'll talk to you. Yeah, sure, if I can see money. Yes, sir, I see a project. Like, do you think that had an impact? Because a lot of people off the record would probably be, to quote my son, a little sus about who's this person and now why is she here? Like, what's this about? You know?
I think like it's really funny that you asked me that because I've been asked before by Mel, I think, like, how did you meet that person? And I'll be like, I don't know. Like, I think I just like, oh, I met one of my great friends just on the corner of the street over here. So I was walking my dog and she just walked out and she looked like she was just like so happy and wanted to chat. But I don't necessarily think I think it's my personality.
What number child are you?
I'm the third. Of
okay.
5.
Yeah. Wow. You're from a posse.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So there it is. You are a get along gang kind of gal. That's why.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there
Totally.
you go. Okay. Yeah,
I'm a get along gang kind of gal. I like that. I haven't heard that.
You should have told me that
before.
from the, and it's funny on my Q&A with my students every semester, I have them say what number child they are because I have learned that birth order dictates so much.
Emily, that's such a great question. Wait, what else do you ask them? Because I'm just curious. Like,
well, you're going to be a guest speaker next semester. If you ever wanted to start a handbag line and didn't know where to start, this is for you.
Living proof that independent designers can make it big.
Emily Blumenthal, who is one prime example.
If you had dreams of becoming a handbag designer and didn't know where to start, this is for you. If you have a handbag brand and are in need of strategy and direction, this is for you. I'm Emily Blumenthal, handbag fairy godmother and handbag designer expert, and this is Handbag Designer 101, the masterclass. Over the next 10 classes, I will break down everything you need to know how to make, market, and manufacture a handbag. Broken down for you that you'll not only skip steps in that handbag building process, but also save money in that learning curve. For the past 20 years, I've been teaching at the top fashion universities in New York City, created the Handbag Awards, and also the Handbag Designer 101 podcast. I'm going to show you like I have countless brands from sketch to sample to shelf, whether you're just starting out and don't know where to begin, or even if you have a handbag line and just need some strategic direction, the Handbag Designer 101 Masterclass is just for you. So let's get started and you will be the creator of the next it bag. Join me, Emily Blumenthal, with the Handbag Designer 101 Masterclass. But I really think, though, who you are within birth order. Like, I have one student this semester who is taciturn to the point where I need to, like, yank her voice out.
oh, yeah.
She is one of several children, and I can get her to speak, but when it comes to presenting, she's like a cricket and, reads her notes. And I said, within the family, are you the child that the parents don't need to worry about because they always know no matter what, you'll do what you're supposed to, that you get everything done, and they know they can always rely on you and always depend on you. So you're not the wave maker. That's the kid above you or below you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I said, well, you're paying for this. You're here. This is the time for you to find your voice, share your voice, and be heard. So if there's ever a window, this is it.
This is it. This is it, girl. Step up.
Yeah.
I think like that is great advice because no one's just going to like pause to listen to what you have to say, unfortunately, in the world. But also, she has a perspective and a point of view. She just has to get used to maybe like sharing it. Something that I can like totally relate to because.
So I think it sounds like Deepa and Melissa, and I don't want to say this for them, but it sounds like they were the first Jessy champions to say, what do you have to say? We're here to hear it. And that's why you were like, you're my people.
Yes, I have goosebumps. But yes, that's it. Like they see something in me and saw something in me at that point before I saw it.
So you weren't even hesitant about joining, like starting a company with them. You were like, yeah, I'm in it. I'm here for it.
Well, I thought at that time, like, I have nothing to lose. Like, I haven't really made a lot of headway in my career. Like, I didn't have a career yet. So I felt like, I saw it as an opportunity, really.
But
like,
the interesting thing is, though, you weren't even the customer. You weren't the demographic of the product that you were designing.
No. That was it. Well, I was in that I was going to work every day and I needed a bag that was organized. And I resonated with it because I needed somewhere to put my things. Like, we had real portfolios at that point.
Oh my God, the big things. Yeah.
The big things. I was like always carrying that, plus like swatch book, like just all my files, all my swatches, just like, you know, a water bottle, the normal things, your keys, your wallet. And I was like a disheveled mess because
you're so clean looking now. You've like dewy skin. How could that be? I didn't see that as part of your DNA.
Well, I spend my life trying to keep it all in order, I guess. But yeah, like I was actually making my own bags. They were like not very cute, but like they worked because there was nobody making bags big enough for like a portfolio, like, you know, whatever. So I resonated with the concept and I was like, yes, totally. Like, no one's making bags for us. Like, let's figure out how to do this. And that was more, I guess, our first collection was for working urban women in particular. And then a big learning for me was like, how do I apply this to my life? And like, how do I really like share my perspective here while also still kind of creating value through the products that I'm making? And that's when I decided to drop a neoprene collection, which was really more of like an athleisure focus. Like,
that was your idea.
That was really my baby because it was like, that's me. I'm very casual, but I still want to look very polished and clean and like nice. But I want to be organized also and be able to like go from the gym to the office to walking my dog or the coffee shop or whatever it be, like looking good. But I don't need to be like looking super polished and professional all the time.
Are you guys a company at this point? Were you guys like, that's it? Yeah. We're incorporated. I'm keeping my day job. You guys will finish school. We'll keep doing this while like... And PS to that, like, you're the only one who has the official name in the name.
Yeah.
So as part of this throuple. So I'd like to, you know, because I'm not losing that name because I've just, you know, recently.
I love that name for us. We are a couple. I mean, it's accurate. We call each other, we're like married. We're definitely married in many ways. So it makes sense. But yeah.
So how were you still day jobbing and you're like, okay, yeah, here's the first bag, but I really think neoprene, like, let's do the wetsuit material. And how did all this come to pass? Like, were you waking up day jobbing and then meeting them at nights and weekends? And then, I'm assuming
that's how it worked. That's how it worked.
Deepa was like, okay, we need to incorporate. We need to open up a bank account.
My partners are super organized, super on top of it. Like, my partner at the time when we started it, he called them the sharks because they were just like, on top of everything all the time, like ahead a million steps. So I personally was just like along for that ride of like incorporating the business and getting everything going, raising money, all of that kind of stuff is really like their wheelhouse. And so, okay, step one, we created the first like product assortment, which was only 2 products. It was a tote and a clutch wallet that you could use as a combination for your work day to like take all your stuff to work. And then you could pull out the clutch wallet and like go to lunch or go to dinner or whatever. So you didn't have to carry the whole tote. Those 2 products worked together as a system. We launched with like this very like work focused women run business aesthetic and like ethos. And that...
Where were they made? Where were the bags being made? Like, was that you for sourcing in factories? Was that on you?
Yes, we worked with a factory in New York City, which I still like deeply adore and have so much like gratitude for because I was so annoying and we were like just trying so hard to like figure it out when you know you can't really produce anything in New York that's like super high quality or like
affordable,
just not affordable at all. Like it just doesn't work. And there are sample rooms here. So essentially that's what it was. It was a sample room who I convinced to do our first run of production, and were convinced, rather they just agreed to do it because they were like, this girl's not going to stop showing up on our doorstep. Let's just like do this and get it over with is what I imagine they were thinking. But yeah, so like we put our website up which we also designed. I think I also designed that. I don't even remember at this point. And we hosted a pre-sale. So we sold based on like our samples. And then we went to the factory, placed the order, waited for the samples to be finished, the production line to be finished. And then we shipped to customers based on that.
How did you find I'm so talking over you and people have complained, but I get excited. So I apologize to every listener. Well, I'm like listening to this. I'm like, but where did you get the customers?
We were hustling and sharing with all of our friends and family. Like everybody knew we were working on it. And we had Instagram and the internet at our disposal, which were like, for brand marketing, I think we were probably one of the first brands that really like harnessed it and utilized it in a successful way. And so we posted on Instagram, Facebook, like had events. We were hosting events. We had a lot of focus groups and surveying that we had done.
That's MBA design. Yep.
Yeah, that's like where we had a lot of our, I guess, supporters and customers come from. Yeah, we just like we're spreading the word like.
But can I ask you, there were other bags, and I remember overhearing this conversation while you were having that meeting where I peripherally met you guys.
Yeah.
There were other brands at that point who had organization and pockets and wallet. Yeah. So what made the three of you decide that you had a fighting chance to stand apart from the others comparatively to other products on the market that were theoretically trying to do the same thing? Because
yeah. Sorry, I just cut you off.
No. I mean, the takeaways, because I started my handbag line while I was getting my MBA, and it was a beautiful spot to do research and have students do my heavy lifting. And that's where you learn about the SWOT, the comparative analysis, the competitive analysis, the deep dive on the customer, and, the psychographics, and, what does he eat, they eat, and what do they drive, and what watch it, all that nonsense. Most designers don't do that. That's what an MBA does. So how are you guys approaching this, saying, okay, there might be other bags that have compartments and organization, but this is why ours are better, especially you as the designer?
I guess our mission to begin with was to provide like organized bags to professional women at a price point that was attainable and that were high quality products. So you could like wipe them. They were durable enough to like throw around, and you didn't have to treat them like a designer handbag that's made of leather and that's like really soft and like delicate. At that time, there were probably two brands that I could think of that were hanging their coat on organization and functionality, both of which were not cool. And we were like, millennial women at that point in our early 20s, like we're not going to be caught down.
That's not for us.
Yes. When we got to like the decision of what we were going to wear, I was like, I'll either wear something like cute that doesn't work for me at all. Or for me, I was like, I'll make my own. But for them, they were like, like, what are we going to do? And they just wore these like handbags and shoved their computers inside of them, like kind of half hanging out. So I think that through all of honestly, Emily, I just thought it was like, I would buy it. Like it's not even that.
That's all you need.
I was just like, I'm going to make something that I would buy and that I think my friends would wear. I would like to say that it was like, obviously there was a ton of research and like a lot of thought and analysis put into why we created the brand the way that we did and why we created the products that we did. But from a creative standpoint, I always feel like that's it. It's not that complicated. Like it can be if you want to make it that complicated, but it's not. Right.
No, I think, listen, we've spoken more about little Jessy than adult Jessy at this point.
Yeah.
And like, I could hold you captive for another 3 hours.
I know, this is fun. I would say.
Because it's all about you.
This is like a nice therapy session.
I call this handbag therapy because as somebody said, like I always tell people, as I told you, you're going to end up telling me something that you haven't shared because everybody else's interviews are, editorial right now is so click driven that it's all about what are those within a chasm, what is the pain points, the challenges, the agony, the solution, the monetization. Like those are the MBA buzzwords, blah, blah, blah. But I think understanding the origin story of a designer can speak volumes about the success as to the brand that they created. And the fact that, you know, you're a very positive person, you're a very kind person, you're a very complimentary person. And it's so not easy to work with people. It's not hard. It's not easy to be married. It's not easy to work. I mean, it's all these things because everything's a partnership and it's about compromise. Yeah. And it's really about recognizing, especially with people with whom you work, you know, everybody gets their respective role, but at some points you have to come together. And I've heard an interview where partners have said, if this is a 9 of importance to me and a 2 of importance for you, then we have to be able to come together and recognize at that moment, it goes to me for what's important.
Yes.
As opposed to, I know at other times it's going to be a 2 for me and a 10 for you. And I'm going to say, then we need to listen to what's important to you because I respect what means to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. I mean, it's hard. It's really hard. I think that there are a few things that have helped support me through this, but I think the main thing that has made us like successful in our throuple, we'll say, is that that's never going to get old. That we all like beyond the brand, we really care about each other and
the people that work for you.
Like, yeah, the people that work for us. We're not like saving lives. And so nothing's really, you know, that big of a deal at the end of the day. So like being able to like cry to each other and, you know, like vent, like this is a 10 for me and this is why, like, and I just need you to hear me on this, and then being like, okay, cool, let's do it. Like that is, I guess, like the holding space for each other and
culturally of Dagne Dover, I've never heard anything negative.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, my ears to the ground because I hear about all this stuff. And, you know, it's really unfortunate that the perception of female-run companies, rah, females, women in business, girl boss, which we all know RIP has had its day, but yeah, you know, there have been enough horror stories of female-run, specifically handbag brands and how they've been run, because growth is challenging to scale a brand, to go from one bag to getting a showroom, to getting an office, to getting employees, to getting healthcare, to then firing people and then realizing all of that. It's like, that's big kid stuff. And
kid stuff, yeah.
You know, and to recognize the trajectory of your brand, to say, are we a boutique brand? Are we a retail brand? Are we a D2C brand? How can we segment how we want our retail strategy to go? Because especially after the pandemic, as I'm sure everything had to get flipped on its head, because who needed a work bag? Nobody needed a bag to begin with, but who needed a work bag? So, you know, I mean, that's the time when anything handbag related was taking a dip. So how can you pivot and turn it into travel, turn it into adventure, turn it into lifestyle? And, you know, all of that's really challenging. So to be able to still work together and respect the people who are working with you and for you, it's not easy. It really isn't.
It's not, no. But I think, I don't know what it's, I've never worked at another company really, to be totally honest with you. So I think it's really hard. And I don't even know, I guess something that's important to me, because I would categorize myself as a hypersensitive person, and
you're in the climate where you can be, so lucky you. So.
Lucky me, but it's hard. Like, you know, it's really hard, and you know, I've gone through some mental health struggles, and like I think that I just can't operate in a situation that's not healthy. Like some people, I even have friends like this who are like working at hedge funds, and they're in there, they're like fighting with people all day. Yeah. They're like getting just like, they're just part of these like super toxic cultures that they can come home from and then just like let it all go. I can't do that. Like I just physically can't. I get sick. I cry all day. Like it's just a sad kind of like I can't just like don't have that, whatever that is. So it was sort of like not an option for me to try and create an environment that like I could thrive in. And I think by default, like we ended up creating something that, a really healthy workplace, honestly, that is focused a lot on like the products that we create, but also, and then the brand that we're kind of like, I guess projecting, but then also like our own, mental health and like, protection. Like it's a very protected environment,
right?
In my opinion, like the design room is separate from the marketing room, is separate from, like other rooms. And that is like not to create separation, but to like hold like these really delicate, I guess you could say, like, how do I say this? They're like to hold this energetic, creative space for the
it's a balance. It's a balance of power. So,
and it's also a balance of power. Exactly. Yes.
Do you allow your marketing team to impact design? Because, we had an incredible woman and on one of the earlier episodes, Jamie Levy, who worked at Steve Madden for years. And, the pushback of having the marketing and sales people with the design people. And, it's like at the end of the day, the product has to be designed to sell.
It does. And I think physical space to design is protected is very important for the design process to happen.
Right.
Leadership is really important, like obviously really important, but in like deciphering the information that's important to come from the sales team to the marketing team. Like, for example, I would not have like the head of my sales team come in and tell my design team exactly what they want because it's not going to land like the way that it needs to. But if I get that information and I know what I need to know from my marketing and sales and business teams, I can give them that information in a way that can be received and implemented into future designs. So I think it's like nuanced.
That's excellent. I must say, and I don't want to say it because it's female run and it's sensitive,
I know.
But it definitely doesn't hurt to recognize that information. It does.
Well, that's the thing too, is like, it doesn't hurt to be overly sensitive or overly communicative or overly careful. You might as well do that. You might as well do it. Yeah. In any situation.
Can I ask you one final question? Just how, companies, they've hired me to analyze not so much the health of the company for acquisition, but just to evaluate the brand, the line, like investment firms to see if it's worthy of covering blah, blah, blah. And one of the key points is color within the assortment. And typically, to your point, you have your black, your brown, your ox blood, your reddish.
Yeah.
Reddish, whatever. That color, I don't understand personally how that color can sell, but that's some reason it's like a neutral. I don't get it. I don't get it, but it's within the palette. And then you'll have a pop of color to satisfy whatever the hot trend. So everything's hot pink right now, Barbie, blah, blah. It's not going to stay like that. Pink will always be there for gender, understood. It is. People can fight it. It is what it is.
Is what it is. Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
That said, for work bags, your palette is surprisingly pastel-y. Turn that into an adverb. Kind of. How did you, especially this must have been coming from you, how did you, and then we can wrap up, determine that color should be part of the palette? Because I see black and people, if anybody watches this on YouTube, they can see your screen behind you. But how did you make that determination? Because that's definitely a unique selling point, a brand separator, that you have black and then you have these, I don't want to say unsafe colors, but they are not offensive. They are like, they're gentle versions of neutrals.
Yeah. I guess a part of what's important to me as a designer and as a consumer is like, color's powerful. Like, it's really powerful. It's very emotional. And the way that people dress and like present themselves and create their wardrobe is a creative process based on what they want their own personal brand to be. And so it's important to me to be able to offer people as much as I can options to be able to do that for themselves. I want to do it for myself too. Plus, like, how good, just it's like, how good does it feel if you have like a cool green outfit that you're going to wear to like your yoga class, and then you can buy a bag that's either complementary to that or like exact same match that feels just like very put together, very peaceful, very organized, very like, I don't have to worry about what I'm looking like right now. And I feel really, really good that this is an expression of me and not just like some brand. And that's why I think that it's important to incorporate color. And it just, I don't know, I guess it's like something that my partners also appreciate. And I also just like see how excited my team gets when we incorporate color and print and things that are like fun and not just like the usual. And that to me, you know, wherever there is excitement says that there's like an appetite for something. So yeah, like, you know, it's all give and take, though. Of course, it's like I do get shut down a lot when I want to do certain things. And there are colors that don't sell because they generally just like don't sit well with people.
Purple.
And that's okay. That happens. It's like a risk that we take. But yeah.
Dude, Jessy, this has been absolutely phenomenal for the handbag happy hour / therapy / everything.
Yeah.
How can people learn more about you, about Dagne Dover? Where can they get all the good stuff?
Yeah, so we are on Instagram, Facebook, all the social media platforms as Dagne Dover, DagneDover, and our website is dagnedover.com.
Wonderful. I can't thank you enough. I'm probably going to want to have you back for a part 2 or like a continuation, because this was like this was a surface scratch, man. This was a drive-by.
Yes.
So thank you so very much. I encourage everybody to follow Jessy, follow the brand. It is a wonderful, special brand. And I'm just so grateful to have had you on today. So thank you so very much.
Thank you, Emily. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to rate and review and follow us on every single platform at Handbag Designer. Thanks so much. See you next time.